So we just got done watching the
Battle of Algiers.
Yeah.
Felt like a lot longer than it was. I liked it. It was sort of a punishing movie in that it throws a lot at you in a very long amount of time, pardon me. What's really struck me about it, and what obviously the movie is, I mean not obviously I suppose, what the movie is known for is portraying both sides of a conflict as being corrupt in their own way, and the idea that war is hell for everyone.
Yeah, it was very well done. Everything seemed very, very realistic. There was I don't know, we were watching a director's commentary and he compared it to the footage that we received from Iraq. I don't know if I would go as far as that, but it was very, very believable. Everything seemed almost as if it was happening. It didn't seem acting, it seemed real. It was very powerful because it shows how things can get out of hand during a war, during any type of violence, like major violence between two major parties, and how both sides think they're right, but it might be that neither side is in the end.
Yeah, there's definitely a very, to sort of back up the realism of it, definitely not a whole lot of conversation that goes on throughout the film. There is not much explanation of why the acts are being committed, and I don't know, each film is, each scene is filmed with a definite gravity of the actions.
Cool. Now, how long was this movie? About 2 plus?
2 hours. 2 hours and a minute.
Yeah, so 2 hours. It takes a lot out of you. Like, I feel a little bit emotionally drained right now. Who do you think was the most powerful character? I would say the Colonel.
Like, the characters were definitely what made the film, I think. That and the filming of it. But I think the powerful characters were, of course, the Colonel.
He's a veteran of the French resistance against the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, he's definitely got pretty brutal tactics.
Yeah, so there's him on one side, and then the other side there's, I suppose the main character would be Ali, I don't know.
Yeah, Ali Lapointe.
He doesn't talk much. He's sort of got this loyalty to the FLN, and he's just as brutal as the Colonel is.
Well, you see why he has this loyalty to the FLN in the opening scene when he's just trying to make a living because he has no occupation. He's doing some card game out in the street, and then a French woman, I think, points him out to a cop. The police officers are all French, yeah, and they all side with the French. The Algerians are, like, you can tell by their complexion that they're a bit different. They have darker skin color, and they're treated unequally by the French. You can see that racial tension that kind of causes Ali to be or join this FLN movement. I just liked how they showed that, and it wasn't. They didn't say it. They showed how that is.
All right. In one of the videos we watched after watching the film, talking about it, I think it was Spike Lee who compared this film to the films of John Cassavetes, and I sort of saw a little bit of a connection between Ali and Ben from Shadows, the character Ben from Shadows. Basically, there's definitely a sort of teenage aggression there. Ali is able to direct, is just kind of an angry young adult who finds a way to channel his aggression into the ideology of these rebels, and at times he maybe goes too far. He's you can see that he's maybe not fully behind it. He's more extreme in his methods.
Compared to the other members, he's like Jafar is the main leader, and I understand what you're saying, because Ali is he wants to be more violent. He wants more revenge. I feel he wants more vengeance than he wants liberated. Than to liberate Algeria from French
I think they
rule.
both have. I think they both have brutal sides. I mean, Jafar has the three women, load up their bags with bombs and blow up just tourist spots. For white, French people who live there and who are also part of the Algerian culture but are not Arab, and they blow up just these meeting spots for normal people. And then on the other side you have Ali, who in the end, when they tell him you can let everybody else out of there, we only want you, there's no reason for all of you to die, and he just sort of keeps everyone with him and things.
I mean, he doesn't force
says
them.
you're allowed to go if you want.
I agree, but I don't know. There was that weird part in that scene where they all just sort of.
It kind of seemed like nobody really wanted to go because of how long they waited.
A scene that really sort of shows the different feelings of between the leadership of the rebels. There's a scene in which the original rebel leader Ben he talks to Ali about the strike that is coming up, which is actually, in a historical standpoint, the turning point of the Algerian Revolution, and Ali's talking to Ben al-Rashid, and he basically says that he doesn't like this strike, and he doesn't support it because he's not allowed to use any guns.
He only uses that initial violence to spur up some attention to the whole situation from the UN, and Ollie's so determined just to get revenge. He just has this hatred towards the French, and I think that's why he doesn't want to leave his hiding spot in the end, because he just doesn't trust them.
I feel that Ali's probably the reason he stayed behind is because he's not necessarily big on pointless gestures, but no, he likes kind of dramatic things. Like at the very beginning, when he's first being introduced to the LNF, he is sent to go and kill a police officer. And he makes a very big show in the streets. He makes a big deal about how he's about to shoot this guy, and it's for the LNF, and all people should watch and learn.
القيني شوفوا الخوة الو صافا لا تروي شوفوا الخوة النظام مش يعمل خباتة بحاله شوفوا كشرع شو قدام السلاح
He's trying to make a big deal about what he's doing.
That scene in particular was very odd because you expect him. I think he'd seen a couple murders before that, and you'd expected him to just take the gun and shoot the policeman in the back. But he makes this big point of running in front of the policeman and then staring him down, and you're wondering whether or not he's just stalling for time or whether he doesn't really actually want to shoot the policeman, but it just turns out that he wants to sort of rub it in the policeman's face and show everyone around that he's really committed to independence for the Algerian nation, and he makes this big show of it, and it's very odd. It's a very odd scene, and I suppose it sort of brings into question sort of what we talked about earlier with Ben. More important than the murder itself is what the murder means, is inciting people to think about getting involved, not so much in a violent sense, but in a commitment sense and that sort of thing. And so I think some of the more powerful scenes in the later half of the movie are not character driven, don't involve Ali or the Colonel or anyone that you've come to know throughout the course of the movie, but are the riot scenes where you just see en masse tons and tons of people running around and yelling for independence. And waving flags around and things like that, and I think those are probably the most powerful points of the movie because they're not about vengeance or violence, but they're about sort of freedom in the purest sense.
Yeah, Ali in that scene where you described as odd, I think he just wants to get back at the police. Like, I think it was more rage driven than for a cause.
Well, it could be. He does at a different time try to illustrate how he's not afraid, and even his death could be taken as at one point he says, "I only fear God," and I don't know, it is definitely a statement that's kind of underlined throughout the movie for him, I guess.
Yeah. One thing that I want to talk about is the sound that was used in the movie. I don't know what instrument it was.
There's this. I think we mentioned it. There's this one sound loop they use when they're blowing up the soda shop and things like that. That was just like this chugga 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 chugga. It sounded like you just mashed some stuff together on acid. You just had it repeat, but it was just this really tribal, creepy noise that they would play. And they made a point, I think, in the end of sound and things, and the people screaming in the streets. And they talked about how at night you could still hear people from the Muslim sector of Algiers, screaming and wailing in this very odd sort of riot sound, and I think that sound played a lot into this movie because there was a lot of very brutal things going on screen, and they were matched by this terrible noises that were coming out of the speakers.
I think they did a great job in using silence when, important scenes.
Ali Lapointe, la maison est cernée. Il n'y a plus rien à faire. Rends-toi. Fais d'abord sortir l'enfant et la femme. Ensuite, l'homme qui est avec toi. Et après, tu sortiras.
Yeah, this isn't your typical war movie. It isn't like Black Hawk Down. It's not like crazy explosions and intense gunfire. It's very realistic. It's not exaggerated. It's a movie in which you can reflect upon war.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very significant movie in history, and it's definitely holds up. I believe it earned its place on the list. Okay. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Écoutez-moi. Retournez chez vous. Qu'est-ce que vous voulez? الاستقلال! روحوا بلادنا! الاستقلال! الاستقلال!